Right. Well, I said good afternoon and welcome to the collective worship. So for today, I've been thinking about being out on the field, and I was thinking about it and watching the gardeners or the grounds people coming in today. Sort of got me thinking about today's collective worship. So what I'll do is I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you, and then when we do that, I'll be able to talk about what I was thinking about when I was thinking about our collective worship for today. So if I start by sharing my screen, and as always, we'll start with the lighting of the 3 candles. So we light these candles in the name of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. So today, when I was thinking about our collective worship and which collective worship we were what I was going to do is my thing. I was looking at the field before the groundsman worked, and I was thinking, look at all the daisies. And actually, I started thinking about the beauty that's in a daisy, and more importantly, what lessons that we could learn from them. And I'm sure you're thinking maybe Mr. Higgins has had too much sun. What's he talking about? What's he talking about learning lessons from a daisy? Well, hopefully by the end of the collective worship, you'll have an understanding of what I was trying to get at. But to begin with, though, I just wonder if anyone can think of any flowers. Can you think of the names of any flowers in particular? I wonder if I went to, let's try 6H. That's Mrs. Collett. Do any of your children in your class know the names of any flowers?
Leah? Rose?
A rose, yeah, that's a nice one. What about? Forget-me-nots. Okay, keep going.
Daffodil.
Daffodil, nice. We're going to try another class now. Let's try 5. Let's try 5GP. Does anyone in 5GP know of any flowers, the names of any flowers? So we've had roses, we've had forget-me-nots. What else can we have? Daffodils. Sorry.
Harry says buttercups.
Buttercups, yeah, there's lots of buttercups around as well. Yeah, buttercups.
James says tulips.
Tulips, yeah, tulips are nice too. What about 5K? Do you have any in 5K?
What were you going to say?
Okay, Logan. Got snowdrops.
Snowdrops, yeah, they're beautiful when they come out as well.
And bluebells.
Bluebells.
And go on, Tiana. And daffodils.
Lovely. Well, thank you for sharing all that with it, because I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite flowers. So I'm going to describe it, and you've got to try and guess which one. I think you probably all have an inkling about what my favorite plant is or flower is. So the flower that I like has a long green stem, and in the middle it's yellow, and round the outside it's white. I wonder if somebody in 3M knows what that flower might be. Mr. Mitchell, do you
Anna, say again?
Which one do you, which flower? Go on, what do you say, Mr. Mitchell?
Was it a daisy?
It is a daisy, that's right. It is a daisy. So there we go. There's a daisy, a bit of a random plant. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, I'm not quite sure why a daisy is Mr. Higgins's favorite flower, because unlike some of the ones that we've talked about, like tulips and things like that, it doesn't really smell very nice. It doesn't smell like tulips and roses do. Obviously, it's pretty common, and they're lying around, and it's pretty small as well. And obviously, you wouldn't really start to look at daisies being as part of a bouquet of flowers either. And lots of people, particularly gardeners, would probably call daisies weeds. So it's a bit of a random choice of a favorite flower, but there is a reason for it, and we'll get to that in a moment. So when we go through that, but did you know that there are actually different types of daisies, lots of different kinds? So if we have a look, so we've got the daisies, this common daisy like we had on the school field this morning before the groundsman came. But yes, there are lots of different other daisies. So we have these ones, which are very beautiful, nice purple petals. Those which got really big petals, lots and lots of petals. This one, which is a bit of a random one because it doesn't have, it's got strange kind of petals. And then we have the lovely orange ones. So there's lots of different varieties of daisies, and some of them you do get in bouquets of flowers. So, you know, there's not just a common daisy that we have on our field. There's lots and lots of different types of daisies. However, but we are going to think about, in particular, we're going to think about the more common daisy that we find out that we have in our like on our school field. So when we think about the daisy, we can think about where we find them. So if I was to say to, let's try 6G, where would we find daisies? Think of some places where you think you might find daisies. And if anyone in 6G has an idea where we would find daisies. It's quiet because they're either working really hard or there's a technical problem.
Sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Higgins.
That's all right.
What's the answer? Yes, Amelia?
You can find them on fields and where wherever grass is growing.
Did you hear that? On fields and where grass is growing?
Yeah, on fields and where grass is growing. Yeah. Is anyone else in 6G have any ideas where you might find daisies?
In flower beds?
Flower beds. Yeah. Anywhere else?
Okay.
In your back garden.
In your back garden?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the park.
In the park?
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, well, there's lots of different places we will find daisies, and obviously that's lots of them we've just talked about, and the fact that we find them on school fields, so in amongst grass, in gardens, on park ground. What's interesting about daisies, because you also find daisies in cracks in the ground. So, you know, you've got a piece of concrete that's all cracked and suddenly a daisy appears in it. Sometimes, and if you've ever visited places like Carrymore, which is a waste recycling centre, you get lots of daisies there. What's really interesting is actually daisies are really good at conquering different habitats. So whether it be a field, a garden, a crack in the pavement, the roots of a tree, around disposed waste sites, whether it be on your doorstep outside of your house, they can be found everywhere, actually, on the earth. In fact, there are even daisies that grow in Antarctica. So daisies are pretty resilient, pretty strong plants, and they can grow pretty much anywhere. And they're really good at overcoming barriers that they face, which is interesting. And if you've ever looked closely at a daisy, you can start to see things like how many petals they have, what the stem is like, what the color of the center of it is like, and more importantly about the seeds that the daisy has, which help it disperse. So I wonder, actually, has anyone ever seen a daisy growing alone? Well, actually, daisies don't tend to grow on their own. They tend to grow in clumps, in groups, and like you see, like this morning when I came in before the groundsman had mowed the grass, you could see them all over the school field. They were everywhere. So they can actually, grow. They grow in groups. Very rarely do they grow on their own. And then, so when I came in, and this is what got me thinking, was when I came in yesterday, we were talking about sunshine and how lovely the sunshine and what it makes you feel. And when I came I came in from seeing everyone in this morning, and they were just about to start cutting the grass. And I could see all the daisies, and I was thinking, oh, what a shame they're going to cut them all back, because, the whole field had this like lovely yellow display on it of these daisies that were there. So yellow and white display across the grass. And And lots of people like the fact that daisies are white and yellow, and it's very bright and colourful, and it can actually make them feel joyful and happy, which is nice, particularly when you see them like it was this morning, and definitely at the end of yesterday when I was walking back from all of you going home with your parents, and I was walking back across the school field, and you could see them all blowing in the wind because it was quite windy. It looked quite sort of peaceful and serene and joyful and lovely. And so that's obviously why one of the reasons why I like daisies over everything else, because they look so lovely. But actually, on top of all of that, I like daisies because they are kind of, they show the fact that with those values that we talk about when we talk about school, they really kind of uphold them. They overcome barriers. They show resilience whenever they are. And if you think about it, a daisy can be trod on 1 minute, or cut or picked or whatever by a lawnmower, and then they come back. They come back again and again and again. They're just super resilient. And so what I did is I thought about that, and I managed to find a video which might sum up why I think daisies are amazing, and why I like them. So I'm going to try and stop this. So here we go. I need to play the sound so you can hear it as well. So we're going to play this video. Here we go. So it's a big garden to be mowing with one lawnmower. And there's the buttercups we were talking about earlier. So there's the video. I'll just put it back a bit. So that's the video about daisies, and I like that because obviously what it shows you about a daisy, which is what I like about them, is they just keep coming back, bouncing back. They refuse to be defeated, and they're determined to keep on going and enjoying themselves, and looking for the sun and keep on growing no matter what. And I like that because obviously it's quite a good lesson about life that we can learn from that, really, because there are times that life comes at us and hits us and defeats us. Sometimes we may have been badly treated, lost someone, or we have been blamed for something that we never did. Maybe others have laughed at us, or even the schoolwork that we're doing at the moment may seem impossible. Or, as we know, obviously this next week we were supposed to be opening up for COVID, and everything was supposed to be going back to normal. And obviously we now have another 4 weeks continuing with what we're doing, and with all the restrictions that are in place, and it's stopping us being able to get out and enjoy their lives. And I was listening to some of the staff talking about the fact that their children who are just about to leave secondary school have had their prom cancelled and things like that. And obviously there's the whether or not there's going to be a transition up to the secondary school. So lots of things are now put in, have been sort of put into the mix, because now we're not able to carry on and do the things that we wanted to do, and it's put the dampener on it. So there are all these times where these barriers get thrown at us. But what's nice is when you think about a daisy, when you look at what happens, it's a nice important lesson to learn from them. it's not the circumstances that determine our mood. So obviously, it's not what's happening that determines our mood, but our reaction to them. So, like the daisies, they could, every time a man brings out the lawnmower or the shears, they could all go, oh no, all over again. But they don't. They don't just give up. They don't go, right, well, I'm not going to grow again, because if I grow again, they're just going to cut me back. So I'm just going to stay there. They don't. What happens is they go, oh, what's the point? Instead of doing that, they don't. They go, right, okay, I'm going to grow again then. If you're going to cut me down, I'll grow again, and then grow again and grow again. And that's the important lesson that we can take from it. And I like this idea that these daisies are resilient, and how much they face the barriers that come to them, and just reframe it. Rather than thinking it's terrible and it's awful, they just think, well, it's all right, I'm going to see if I can grow back quicker next time. And so it totally rethinks the way that they deal with it. So it's not the circumstance or of our mood that determines the mood. It's actually how you react to the situation, and that's quite an important one. And there's a message. He says, oh, here we go. We don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face the challenges. And I love that phrase, and it's really important when it talks about when we think about a daisy, because they could quite easily roll over and give up. But in fact, actually, each day they do it, they grow because they face that challenge. I've been cut down again, so I'm going to grow up again. And that's what they do. So I want you to take a moment to think about that phrase, or that statement. And what I want you to do is just sit quietly and be still for a moment while we have a time for reflection. I want you to spend a few moments thinking about those words. When we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. Now, I want you to think about things that you're finding hard right now. Think about what you could learn from the daisy itself. And remember, daisies often grow surrounded by other daisies, just like we need other people around us. And remember, if you're struggling, and there are people you can turn to and listen, who will listen to you and help support you. Okay, and while you're still for a moment, if you'd like to, you could close your eyes and place your hands together, and we'll finish with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for all the beautiful things that you have put around us. Thank you for the daisies and for all they can teach us about being brave and joyful. Thank you, and help us to grow together. Please help us to grow together. Please help us to be there to care for and support one another. Amen. Okay, so I'll stop sharing for a moment. So that was our collective worship for today. So a nice message that we can learn from something very simple, such as a daisy. The sunshine, the daisy, nature is full of things that we can learn from, and how they've overcome barriers and how they can make us feel. So that's quite an important lesson that we can learn from that. So that's my collective worship for today. Thank you for listening, and thank you for those that helped contribute with your ideas about what flowers are and what different types of flowers are and things like that. So thank you for contributing, and where we might find daisies. Thank you for that. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'll be popping around later to see how you're getting on. But really, please take away that message, that the idea of the things that we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. It's a really important message to take away from today's collective worship. So take care, everyone. Thank you for listening, and I shall see you back here tomorrow for another collective worship. Take care, everyone. Bye.